Morning, folks. Brian here, Geomagnetic Earth Watch, Thursday, May 8, 2025. Yes, these just arrived from Bali. So I'm going to be doing some updated fashion shows for you. I'm going to continue the talk of the geomagnetic excursion and what I believe is happening with the Earth developing multiple magnetic poles and weak zones around our planet. I was going to do this later this evening, but a news item came across my computer screen on the internet, kind of got my attention. I expect it. I'll explain it in a minute. Actually, you know what? Let me show you the video first. I think it's around 8 minutes. Just pay attention, then I'll go over some points.
It sounds like science fiction, a force from beyond Earth quietly mutating life below. Creatures evolving in strange ways, not from pollution or chemicals, but from space radiation. And lately, whispers and reports have begun circulating online, raising one haunting question. Is space radiation mutating wildlife in certain U.S. states? Is there any truth to it, or is this just another modern myth? To answer that, we need to explore what space radiation really is, and what it isn't. Space radiation is made up of high-energy particles from two main sources. The first is cosmic rays, charged particles, mostly protons, originating from outside the solar system. The second is solar radiation, streams of energetic particles emitted by the sun during solar flares. Unlike visible light, these particles can damage living tissue and even alter DNA. That's why astronauts outside Earth's magnetic field must be shielded carefully on missions. But here's the key: Earth's atmosphere blocks most of this radiation from reaching us. In fact, the planet's magnetic field deflects a majority of incoming charged particles. The atmosphere, especially its upper layers, absorbs what's left before it can touch the ground. That means surface level exposure to space radiation in the US is extremely low, almost negligible. So if animals are mutating, it's likely not from outer space. Still, reports continue to emerge from isolated parts of the US, especially near military zones, deserts, and high-altitude regions. Unusual animal sightings. Deformities in birds. Extra limbs in frogs. Increased aggression in
a spinning wheel of wood, a four-legged mammal attractor, a heavy rain dodger,
nocturnal species. Shifts in migration, fertility, and appearance. Are these strange wildlife events connected to radiation from above? Or is something else going on entirely? Let's look at one of the most cited zones, the Four Corners region, where Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado meet. This area sees slightly higher levels of background cosmic radiation due to its elevation. At higher altitudes, the atmosphere is thinner, so radiation levels are marginally higher. But even here, exposure is still far too low to cause widespread DNA mutations in wildlife. Scientists confirm that cosmic radiation at ground level is less dangerous than X-rays. Animals living in higher regions, like elk, mountain lions, or golden eagles, are naturally adapted to slight changes in UV and radiation levels. But these changes are too subtle to cause the kind of mutations that conspiracy theories describe. So if space radiation isn't the cause, what's behind these odd reports? In many cases, the real culprit is local environmental pollution or man-made radiation. Let's take nuclear testing zones in Nevada and Utah as an example. During the Cold War, over 100 nuclear weapons were detonated above ground in the Nevada test site. Fallout from these tests traveled across several western states, exposing humans and wildlife alike. In some areas, birth defects in animals and cancer rates in livestock did increase. But this was from human-generated radiation, not cosmic or solar particles. The same goes for areas near uranium mines, toxic waste sites, and military facilities. Contaminated groundwater, soil, or air could absolutely affect wildlife health, sometimes in horrifying ways. And it's far more likely that local contamination is to blame for mutations, not the sky above. We can also look at more recent scientific studies. In Chernobyl, Ukraine, after the 1986 nuclear disaster, scientists observed wildlife mutations over decades. Some species of birds develop smaller brains or discolored feathers. Some insects vanished entirely from contaminated areas. But even there, animals eventually returned and adapted, though some with visible biological changes. Again, this wasn't space radiation, it was fallout from a failed nuclear reactor. But it proves a key point: radiation can affect wildlife under certain extreme conditions. It just doesn't come from space in measurable amounts down here on Earth. Another source of mutation in animals comes from pesticides, plastics, and industrial waste. Endocrine-disrupting chemicals in water can cause deformities in amphibians and fish. Airborne toxins affect the brain development of birds and mammals. Light pollution disrupts nocturnal hunting and mating behaviors. And habitat loss puts stress on entire populations, accelerating evolutionary shifts. Many of the strange mutations people report may stem from human environmental impacts, not cosmic ones. So why do these space radiation rumors persist, especially in rural and desert regions? One reason is atmospheric phenomena. During solar flares, we sometimes see spikes in auroras, magnetic shifts, or strange electrical events. These cosmic changes are rare but dramatic, and they fuel stories of disruption or mutation. Another factor is the presence of top-secret military installations, like Area 51. These bases are near areas where strange animal sightings and radiation spikes have been reported. But secrecy breeds speculation, and the absence of answers makes space radiation an easy scapegoat. Finally, we can't ignore pop culture's role in this myth. Movies, video games, and shows love the idea of mutation from space. From Godzilla to Stranger Things to Fallout, radiation from above becomes the ultimate villain. It's dramatic. It's mysterious. And it plays into our fears of the unknown. But in real science, the truth is far more grounded, and far more preventable. So, is space radiation mutating wildlife in US states? The answer is no, not in any measurable or verified way. Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field provide powerful, natural shielding against cosmic particles. The mutations and oddities we see in animals are almost always tied to our own actions. Pollution, contamination, land use, and climate change all have far more dramatic effects. The real danger doesn't come from the stars, it comes from the ground beneath us. If we want to protect wildlife from mutation, disease, and extinction, we must clean our waters, regulate our industries, and safeguard wild ecosystems. The sky isn't falling, but the world we've built is putting pressure on the creatures we share it with. and that's something we can't afford to ignore any longer.
A good gaslighting video for you. You're going to see more of these. Now, when they say the Earth's atmosphere or the magnetic field blocks the cosmic radiation, and again, these people do not mention the fact that the planet is undergoing its cyclical geomagnetic excursion, resulting in the destabilization and weakening of our protective magnetic field. They will never tell you that. So this is a fact. Let's go over some of the points, false points in their video. They mention shifts in migration patterns, animals and birds. But their cover story, false narrative, does not explain or confirm, doesn't explain that the animals require a stable magnetic field lines in order to navigate properly. They don't tell you that. So, again, they're telling you things are going on, wrong with our planet and its inhabitants. Okay, they're telling you that, but they have to come up with a false story. That's with everything else. Next, they showed you the animation of the Earth's magnetic field. Huge, big problem, stupid people. Not you, the ones who made this video. In the representation that they showed you, the magnetic field orientation was wrong. What they showed you was the magnetic field orientation, if it flipped, or pardon me, like this. Let me show you. This is what the magnetic field normally looks like before an excursion. So again, this is Earth's magnetic field line, leaving the south polar regions and coming back into the north, except for now, this is way over here in Siberia, and this is way over here, offshore Australia. But these people are showing it like this. So either these people are so stupid or they're trying to send you a message. In this case, I think they're just so stupid. Everybody knows that the magnetic field lines leave the south magnetic cusp, encircle the planet, and come back in through the north magnetic cusp, normally antipodal. But as I've said, they're on an excursion and they're working towards each other. They don't go like this. Unless the magnetic poles are going to shift way beyond 45 degrees, like 90 degrees. Next, you cannot compare the radiation type and levels of Chernobyl to these incidences in the United States. And again, they say that the space radiation does not enter Earth at measurable amounts, unless you have a geomagnetic excursion with the weakening of the protective magnetic field. So now let's carry on with this discussion. I am me as an observer. Not like that guy, not that observer, no. I believe we are developing multiple magnetic poles now with variable weak areas around our planet. And as I've suggested, one of those areas was over the Portugal, Spain, France region, which is very close to England. Now, on the subject of the United Kingdom wanting to do entire coverage, stratospheric aerosol injections, chemtrails, over England because of global warming, blah, 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 blah. Why only a small percentage of the area of our planet? Why? Unless that is part of the area of the developing weak magnetic field over Spain, Portugal, France, and the British Isles. I read a report, maybe it was a Facebook comment, I don't know, there's just so much happening, that people are experiencing like burns or instant burns from the sun in the United Kingdom. What have I been telling you? When you have breaches or weak areas in the protective magnetic field, deteriorating the ozone, increased levels of ultraviolet radiation coming in, including ultraviolet C radiation coming in, almost like an instant burning sensation. You can limit ultraviolet radiation coming in by reflective cloud cover or thick cloud cover will deflect the ultraviolet radiation coming in. Now, I'm going to show you, I came across another article a few days ago, and unfortunately I can't include like news content links for my Facebook, so I had to do screenshots and videos of them. But, well, I'll show you right now. And I came across this article in Science News today. I'll read it through in part. It starts off by saying, persistent magma chambers found beneath dormant volcanoes in the Cascadia Range, written by Muhammad Tuhan, January 29, 2025. Let's read through some of the important parts. In a groundbreaking study led by researchers at Cornell University, a long-held belief about how volcanoes function has been turned on its head. The new findings challenge the conventional understanding that active volcanoes host large magma bodies that are expelled during eruptions, after which these chambers become dormant as volcanoes settle into periods of inactivity. Instead, the study reveals that magma bodies beneath the Earth's surface persist throughout the lifespan of many volcanoes, even in those that have been dormant for a millennia. Continuing, surprising discoveries beneath dormant volcanoes. One of the most striking findings from the study was that all 6 volcanoes that were examined, including those deemed dormant like Crater Lake in Oregon, were found to harbor large and persistent magma bodies beneath the Earth's surface. While these volcanoes might not have erupted in thousands of years, seismic waves identified what the research team believes to be sizable and enduring reservoirs of molten rock or magma that continue to exist even long after an eruption. Continuing, as Pang noted, regardless of eruption frequency, we see large magma bodies beneath many volcanoes. It appears that these magma bodies, exist beneath volcanoes over their entire lifetime, not just during an active state. This insight suggests a fundamental shift in our understanding of how magma behaves beneath volcanoes, offering fresh perspectives on volcanic life cycle and activity patterns. So, by utilizing seismic waves, which is a common tool in geophysics, the researchers were able to map the interior of volcanoes in real time, gaining insight into the magma reservoirs without directly drilling into the ground. Seismic waves, which travel at different speeds through various geological materials, allow scientists to image the composition and behavior of rock beneath the surface. By analyzing how these waves interact with the layers of the Earth's crust, researchers were able to create detailed maps of the location of magma bodies beneath the surface of the volcanoes studied. Could this explain the numerous fires throughout the British Isles, England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, some of which are not explained? Substation fires as well. Remember, in my research for that whole area, 68 volcanoes. 68. 14, 15 months ago, I did a video for the southern tip of Ireland. Massive heat spread. Lots of fires, unexplained, showing up. And again, Scotland, last winter, 2 winters ago, so just over a year ago, minus 18 degrees Celsius, large brush fires. Yes, you're undergoing a drought situation. Yes. Yes, high winds can fan fires. What is the ignition source? So again, developing multizonal weak areas around our planet because of multiple magnetic poles are now beginning to develop. 6 poles, 8 poles, 10 poles. That's going to be it for now. As you were. Actually, maybe one more thing. So the article about magma chambers remain filled and charged, heated for millennia after a volcanic eruption. It's kind of concerning. It would explain what I see periodically doing my daily heat checks. For example, the Wrangell volcanic belt or field, which is Alaska. Some time ago, I detected multiple heat detections. I believe it was Mount Sanford volcano, about 5 through the ice. So I did a little bit of, I'll always do a research when I find something like that. So that last eruption was 320,000 years ago. Another one in the news recently, a volcano, either active or erupting in Bolivia, I believe, last time, 250,000 years ago. It also confirms my suspicions. The volcanoes around me, my neighborhood, every once in a while, I'll detect heat. I'll actually drive out and go check out some of these areas, reoccurring areas. So the list goes on and on. That's kind of gets your attention. So when you look at a volcano, oh, it hasn't, erupted in 1,000,000 years or 250,000 years or whatever. The magma chamber or a reservoir feeding the chamber is still active below, obviously being fed by the mantle plumes connected to the outer core expansion. That heat, magma, is going to find those old orifices, points of entry into fissures, volcanoes, etc. It explains all those heat detections throughout the United Kingdom and other areas of the world. Anyway, now it's all